can take away everything that I ever worked for. I'ma keep on pushing till I earn more. I won't ever fall. Won't never break. Won't never crack. Won't never split. Won't never stop. Won't never let. Won't never call it quits. Call it quits.
Good to go? Yeah. Hey guys, welcome back. Here with Yuri. We have a very special guest again today.
Yep, brought on Alex. His story was very interesting, and we didn't get a chance to finish it last time, so wanna hopefully get to the end this time. We ended off when you became licensed as a realtor. What made you told us what made you get into real estate. How did being a realtor go for you?
I mean, for me, I really liked it, enjoyed it, but for me, it didn't really go that well because a few reasons. English, my second language, so for me, it was really hard. Writing, spelling stuff, and second thing that I started in wrong time because economy was going down at that time. So, I was not making as much money as I thought I will. So and then I moved back to California, so it didn't really work out for me as great as I thought. But I really enjoyed showing houses, and real estate. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
What's some of the biggest things that you learned why you're being a realtor?
Not to be desperate when you're trying to show a house. Just enjoy what you do, but not focus on actual sale.
Yeah. That's a good point. Clients sense that right away.
Yes, because if you feel desperate, they kind of pushing you away. But if you feel like you don't have to sell the house, you don't have to give them a service, and if you value yourself, then people start valuing you.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point.
That's a very good point. So you moved back to California, and
Yes.
then did more flips.
No, in California I didn't do flips. I was working for my father-in-law. God wanted to teach me humbleness because I thought I know everything. I'm full of energy and I got to figure out. And then God had to bring me through valley of humbleness. So I had to go 2 years through. I was a beekeeper, which I had no idea what I'm doing. I learned everything about bees. I lost weight. I was very skinny, very tough guy, working outside, working a lot of hours. It's very healthy job, but it's very tough, physically exhausting. But it was also good times. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
How did you go from being a realtor, being this big shot, to being a
investor.
beekeeper? Yeah.
Because when you lose in almost everything, and then you understand that you need to feed your family. And then if opportunity presents itself, and I took opportunity, and for me it was the best opportunity at that time to be a beekeeper. Because at that time I was losing, I had 6 properties that was going to foreclosed because I was not able to pay for a mortgage. Because of the tenants, they didn't cover the rent, and real estate market in Idaho went up to 50% down. So my I had mortgage, even though after putting 20-25% down payment, I still was not able to sell a property and cover mortgage. So I just let it go.
Yeah. That's rough.
It was really hard to let it go. I was like a lot of people already lost properties, and I still was paying, using equity line or my own saved money to pay mortgages. But when I decided to let it go, it was like I became free. It was the best probably decision of my life I made, because sometimes we get attached to things so much that we don't want to let it go.
Yeah.
I feel that.
So like, I kind of want to go back before 2008. You know, they say that like a lot of people, or not a lot of people, some people knew with some indicators in the market prior to 2008 that it would crash. It had some signs that these mortgages were gonna collapse on themselves. Did you have any sort of like recognition of that? Did you have any sort of idea that the market would crash? And then can you also talk about exactly like leading up to 2008 when that big catastrophe happened pretty much in the market?
Indicators were there, but the question is if you want to see it. Like sometimes we are too naive or we don't want to see it. Like because even in life, sometimes people give us good advices, but we don't want to listen to them because we want to prove otherwise, or sometimes we are too prideful or stubborn. So indicators were there. Like, for example, when I was moving from California to Idaho, when I was selling my second home, I felt it, that market already going down in California. But I thought, I mean, it's in California, in Idaho, never gonna go down. And also, when I was buying one property, I filled out how much money I make, and I was getting a loan. I think like 550,000. I needed to get a loan, and I remember loan officer. She called me and she says, "I cannot give you the loan because you're not making enough money." She said, "Based on application, you're making like 6,000 a month, but you need to make at least 10,000 a month in order to be approved for this loan." And then she asked me again. She said, "So how much money do you make?" And I'm like thinking, don't you see on application? But she kind of gave me a hint. She said, I mean, if I say 10,000, that she's going to be able to give me a loan. So I said, oh, well, if you calculate my other properties, the appreciation, and you divide by 12 months, and you take so I make more than $10,000 a month. She said, okay, now I can give you a loan. Yes, perfect. So, I mean, indicators were there that people... Also, indicator were, for example, when I sold my first house, people got zero down payment. They got 100% financing, so they didn't put any down payment. Plus, I paid for their closing cost. So if you logically thinking that if people have zero risk in the property, for them was even cheaper than to rent, because to rent you have to pay a deposit, security deposit. In this case, they didn't pay anything, no security deposit, no nothing. So for them was very easy to walk out of the house. So when banks were writing loans like that left and right, so plus, after I moved to Idaho, I seen that in California property going down a little bit, but I was, I guess, too naive to think that it's gonna go down because I didn't do enough research, and sometimes, we just see what we see. So
See what
we
we
want to
see.
see, what we want to see. Yes.
Yeah.
How old were you when you first bought these properties? How old were you in Idaho?
I got in Idaho when I bought a
Yeah.
property, or in California.
Or just like in general.
In
when you started this-
first house, I think I bought when I was 22, and then probably 4 years later I moved to Idaho. So then I was like 26. So I would say between 26, that's when I became a real estate agent, maybe 25.
Mhm.
So I was buying.
Um,
And 25, you're full of energy. You think
Yeah.
you know everything. But when I became a beekeeper, oh boy, I learned a lot of humbleness.
Yeah.
It was, a lot of stuff I had to go through, and God really humbled me. So.
Yeah.
I want to go back to when you said you let it go. That was something that I learned last year, and I think Boris learned too. To let it go, trust the process, give control to God. I know it's very hard to do. What was the final breaking point that forced you? Because I know that there was a lot of things that I tried to hold on to and have control over, and not let God take control over. But then finally, when I let it go and gave it to God, is when big things started happening. But I had this defining moment when I realized that I was helpless, that I couldn't control everything, and then I had no choice but to let it go. What was that moment for you?
For me, a moment was not even by choice, but by reality. So I felt almost like a fish that on the top of the ice, and through the ice you see beautiful lake and water. And let's say you want to swim in the water, but there is 2 inches of ice or 3 inches of ice. So if you ever seen fish trying to get back into the lake, and you can, because ice is too thick. So even if you jump as a fish, and you want to break through the ice, it's impossible to do it because ice is way too thick. So the taller you jump, the harder you're going to hit yourself. So by trying to keep all the properties, I literally had no choice, because I remember I was looking for another job, and they hired me. They said, we can pay you $5.75 an hour. So I'm like, okay, how am I supposed to survive on 575? So I mean, I had no degree, I had no experience other than maybe working on construction, which I didn't really want to do anymore. And being a real estate agent, I mean, I was making more than 575, obviously, but for me to keep everything, I needed to make maybe 10,000 a month at least. But I was not able to make that much. So, and I was not able to keep the properties. So, I mean, it was, I could sell it, but if I would sell it, I would have to pay difference to the bank, which I didn't have money. I couldn't keep it because I didn't have money to pay mortgages. So what other choice, you know?
Yeah, you didn't choose
Yeah,
to.
I didn't choose, but
Yeah.
still, I mean, I was fighting. But when I decided that, you know, I'm not gonna pay anymore to the bank, I'm gonna let it go. That's kind of, I mean, feeling of relief came. But it was hard to make decision because you work so much
Yeah.
for it.
No, I
You invest like your life,
No.
your, I mean,
Yeah.
everything you
Yeah.
have, you invest.
You
And
personally worked on those properties and did all
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And lived out of them, did
Yeah.
all that stuff.
How long
Yeah.
how long did it take you to get out of that mess when you let it go?
I think
To fix your
when
credit, to fix all that stuff.
I mean, when I let it go, I think I hit the almost like rock bottom, and after that, I already started to make more money that I was spending. Because first of all, when I stopped making payments, tenants, some of the tenants still were paying me, so I was pretty much netting all the money were coming to me. Because by the time I lost property, it took another 2 years. So almost 2 years I was collecting rent. I didn't have to pay property taxes or insurance or mortgages, so I already was making money. Then I stopped spending a lot of money, and I was working as beekeeper, and I was also making money and start saving. So I already was kind of going uphill, you know, but I had to go through, I mean, I had to humble myself. I mean, the work I had to do, most people would not be willing to do it. So
Yeah.
And then how did beekeeping end for you? You said 2 years you did beekeeping.
yeah, I did 2 years beekeeping, and I mean, it's just Leo offered me opportunity to come to Ohio. He said, "Let's go to Ohio." At that time, I was living in California. He moved to Ohio. He said, "Let's open business together." And I said, "But I need to make at least $15 an hour to survive, to feed my family." And he said, "Oh, I mean, we can make, I mean, open business, and whatever it's gonna be, we can split it at half." You know, and I said, "I guarantee I'm gonna be able to feed my family," because I had no idea how we're gonna open business, what we gonna do. And he said that we can sell on Craigslist building materials. You know, he was remodeling his house, buying on auctions, and then he wanted to, he was selling whatever was left over. So his idea was to sell building materials. So, I mean, I already decided to start something my own with my brother. And so I already had that goal. But I didn't leave right away. I still had to finish the season, and I still had to leave on good note with my father-in-law. So it still took me maybe 6 months to move.
How did SemBro transition from selling building materials to now being the top kitchen company in Columbus?
I mean, because when we started to sell building materials, for example, like one time we went on auction with my wife, Baltimore. So it was 10 hours away. I went on my regular car. I had like Volkswagen. When I moved here, I mean, I literally didn't spend a lot of money. I bought my car. It cost $1,800. So the window you couldn't even open. I mean, if you open a window, you couldn't close. You had to lift the window up, and I had a tape on the top of the window. So I took that car with my wife, and we put pallet jack in, and I rented a semi truck, believing already we're gonna buy a lot of materials on auction. And I hired babysitter. So auction was Saturday and Sunday. And we were planning to load things on Monday, and I would be driving back. So she would stay Monday, and then Tuesday she had to go to school. So when we bought building material, sometimes you do not know what exactly you're gonna buy. So the guy is supposed to send me flatbed truck, because flatbed semi truck takes like 50 something thousand pounds.
Yeah.
and it's easier to load when you have like long stuff, 16 footers. You can load with the forklift from each side, like from this side and from that side. So Monday, and I already had a deal with Freight Quote. They, I think they were charging $700 or $800 to send a semi truck. So Monday, I called them and said, "Where is the truck? Where is the truck?" Said, "I'm still working on it, still working on it." And then almost 12 o'clock, he tells, "I cannot find you flatbed. I can send you regular semi truck." And you have to understand that these auctions, they everybody lives by like I think like 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock. They take in forklifts, everything, and I mean everything is everybody is gone. So they're not coming back because it's they just doing every year in one area auction, or then another area and another area. So they bring in their own forklifts, equipments, everything. So if they would be gone, I would not be able to load anything by hand. So I tell guy, "Okay, then bring me regular semi truck." So then auctioneers were not very happy because it was hard for them to load everything. So if you know how hardwood floor comes, it's in 7 foot, right? So to bring a pallet, and let's say if you bring in with the pallet jack, you cannot turn the flooring inside of the semi truck. So either you have to take a pallet through the flooring and remove it, I mean on the top, and carry over, or you have to put flooring with the forklift, and then you have to put pallet jack again with the forklift and roll it in. So I mean it's really hard to load, especially a lot of pallets if you don't have a loading dock, because there is no loading dock. So anyway, finally we loaded everything, and it was winter. And then I go eat pizza and thinking I still have to drive another 10 hours, and thinking, but it's okay now, at least, you know, I'm gonna drive a car. And then phone call calls, I pick up a phone, and the guy says, "Oh, I went on weight station and I'm overweight by 4,700 pounds. I got ticket $370, so if you do not unload me, we're gonna charge you for, you know, each day." And he said, "By the way, you're paying my ticket." So I mean, what are you supposed to do in that case? How are you supposed to unload him if you have only, you know, regular car? So it was a lot of stress. And I call U-Haul right away. I mean, find U-Haul, call, and I say, "Hey, I need to rent U-Haul, and I can maybe unload everything at, you know, U-Haul car." And they said, "If you want a one-way U-Haul, it takes 24 hours reservation, so you cannot just rent it right away. So locally you can, but one way you cannot." And I explained the situation. She said, "Okay, wait, let's see what I can do for you." So, and I'm waiting, do not know when. Then like 5, maybe 25, she calls me. She says, "Okay, I found a U-Haul. It's half an hour from you where you are, but they are closing at 6 o'clock, so I do not know if you can make it." So before, it was like smartphones were not really there, so I had to use like TomTom GPS, you know, so it didn't really show you the traffic. And then you drive and there is traffic, you try to go between the cars, and I mean it's so much stress. So finally I make it, it's like 5:59. I go, the door is closed, you know, to U-Haul. And the guy was about to leave already, but he made a U-turn. He came back, said, "Oh, why are you knocking on the door?" And I said, "I mean, we have reservation." Said, "I didn't see." But anyway, they gave me U-Haul. They gave me this dolly car. I had to go unload the truck.
With your wife, right?
With my wife, and in the middle of the winter, and unloading by hand, it's like, for example, tile, it's really hard to unload, and you do not know how much 4,700 pounds is. So there is no weight scale, so you just you know, I mean, kind of estimated. So anyway, unload, and it was winter storm. So when you do, like most of the trucks didn't even drive, like drivers said, "Okay, I'm not gonna drive because it's winter storm," and there was literally no cars on the road. So I call my babysitter. I say, "I'm not coming tomorrow morning because I cannot make it." She said, "I don't care. I have to go to school in the morning. So if you're not here by 8 o'clock in the morning, your kid's gonna be alone." So I had no choice but to drive, and I mean, I wanted to sleep so much. I had to open the window, I mean, and put my head through the window because,
To wake yourself up?
make myself up, and I had to stop on the middle of freeway a few times because it was snowstorm, so you literally didn't see where you're going. So, and then when we, for example, unload the truck later, I mean, my brother unload, and I remember one guy came to buy hardwood flooring because I bought bunch of unfinished hardwood flooring. So he was negotiating, we gave him better deal, And then in 3 days he brings hardwood floor and say, why did you sell me firewood? Because it was a lot of short pieces. And then when you put on pallets hardwood floor in his, let's say, truck, and he brought it back, it's like, almost like firewood. So at that point we understood that, auctions, it's not the best way for us to go, because it's a lot of work. It's, and then you're not making that much money. So we were focusing more on cabinets. We started to sell cabinets. And then we realized that we need to have a program to learn how to do designs. And then when we started to design cabinets, people wanted us to install. So we realized we wanted to, we have to work with installer. And then once we started to install cabinets, a lot of customers wanted us to do everything like a renovation. So the company led to renovation by itself, because that's the direction we had to go.
I have an interesting business question. How do you differentiate between opportunities you should take and ones that you shouldn't take? Because like there's probably a lot of there's a lot of businesses that do only kitchen cabinets, right? And they have people coming to them and saying, hey, we want to do install, we want design, we want, our bathroom done too. And they say no, because their business is just cabinets. But you guys said yes, so how do you differentiate between where you guys can expand to and take opportunities and grow the business, and when it's better not to?
It's good to always to have business strategy, but I guess we didn't had any degree in business, so we just were going wherever business were taking us, where opportunity was taking us. And for like to answer your question, some companies maybe that's all they want to do. They just have a niche and they don't want to change it. They don't want to grow much more, and they just focusing on their niche, and it's totally fine. We didn't know otherwise. We just wanted to follow the growth, I guess, and whatever business was leading. Like, for example, right now when we have another business, Columbus Liquidation Center, we don't want to do any installation or any labor with that business, even though people asking us, hey, can you install the hardwood floor that we buying from you, or let's say tile, and we say no, we do not do any installation because we already have more experience and we know that we do not want to go that direction in that business.
Would it make sense for you guys to outsource that and take a portion of the proceeds, to like partner up with a company that does the installation and then get like say 15% of the proceeds and not have to deal with any of it, and they could be the direct point of contact?
Yes and no. You can make more money that way, but then it's gonna be a lot of conflict of interest. Because, for example, if I'm referring you as an installer, and then customer is not happy with your work because, let's say, the product is defected or something wrong with the product, because at liquidation center we do not sell everything A grade. We sell like B grade and discontinue, so some of the stuff may be defected. So if you're doing installation and customer expects like perfect quality, you're gonna say, oh, this is the product as it is defected, and then they're gonna say, but this company recommended you, so it's between you guys. But if right now we're just doing sales at that, and that's what we do at SemBro. We do installation because at SemBro we provide like quality, like the good quality material. We do not install big grade material. We do not even sell big grade. But at liquidation center, we tell people, okay, this is the price, because it may be big grade quality, and some people, and we do offer A grade and B grade. So if people want to pay for big grade stuff and they understand that, and so that's we sell them a product and they understand. But if we would provide installation, then it would be more complicated.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Were there any fields or any opportunities that SemBro took or got into that you guys realized weren't profitable and stopped?
For example, one point we were doing bathrooms renovations, and we were not charging enough for bathroom renovation, and we didn't had correct crews to do it, like I think correct trained guys for bathrooms. So later we decided we don't want to take any bathroom renovation for some period of time till we are fully ready. So I remember one time one customer called us and said, we finally found a company that we can trust basing on all the reviews and research we did, and we said we want to go with you for bathroom renovation. And we had to tell him, we do apologize, but right now we're not taking any bathroom renovations, because we decided not to go that direction at that time. Like right now we do bathroom renovation. It works for us because we changed a little bit the way we are doing. We partner up with some trained skilled people that can do the job, and we charge in correct amount, and we have better system to do bathrooms now. So like right now additions, we can do additions, and I do not know if you want to go that direction or not, so we are still thinking. But in business you always can grow. It's just question is which direction you want to grow and how much time you want to spend on growth. And
So being as big as you guys are now, obviously you guys aren't as big as you guys want to be, but being as big as you are now, how do you still manage to maneuver and pivot and change things and adapt and grow as a business versus, because usually the bigger you get, the harder it is to change, and the more ingrained you are in doing things your way. So how are you still able to change quickly when you have to?
you have to change because in business, as technology changes, you have to learn how to adapt to technology. So some businesses that have been in business like 40 or 50 years, they still doing old ways. Like for example, some company may even do written receipts or do fax machine that most companies do not use it, but they been doing for so long that for them to use some kind of apps or technology, it's almost impossible. So those businesses are destined to fail because it's for customers hard to do business with companies like that. So we try to involve new generation in business, and we believe in new generation, and we let them grow the company. We let them we hear what they have to say. So we know that even if we have an idea, our idea sometimes is not the best. So we try to listen. We try to make the best decision, and we try to adapt based on technology, based on the way everything goes.
Makes sense. Yeah. I always see those mom and pop shops. You can't even find them on Google, and like you can't even like Google search these places. I think like I remember when I'd always go to visit my wife, at the time fiance and girlfriend. I'd always go to this little flower shop in Hartville, such a small little town. She would ask if she could fax me the if I wanted an invoice for it as like a business write-off or anything like that. I was like, no, ma'am. And then every receipt was like the printable, and nothing was like they wouldn't adapt. And then last month we went there, and I drove by, and I was like, we go, and there's a for sale sign. I'm like, this is what happens. This is what happens when they can't adapt and innovate. It's kind of unfortunate to see that happens with these companies that won't take that risk.
Yeah, and if you think about, let's say, new companies like Amazon, or even before Amazon, let's say malls. Before malls, it was just small stores. And then when like Walmart came, or when malls came, they took away businesses from small stores. So when Amazon came, like a lot of business owners, they thought, Amazon not gonna succeed because this is how we did business for 10 or 20 or 30 years. So people not gonna buy things without touching them, because people like to touch, to feel, to see. So there is no way people gonna order stuff on internet, and people who didn't believe in technology, they were doing business the way they were doing. So when, let's say, malls came, they took them away. So now Amazon is coming, And I mean, Amazon doing really well. So what happening to malls? A lot of malls closing down. People do not go there. So maybe later somebody else gonna invent something new that maybe, you know, Amazon gonna disappear. So we do not know. But with technology, we always have to adapt to needs of the customers.
Yeah.
So if customers wants to, let's say, use email, and I'm gonna tell them I do not use email, I just use fax, and, you know, take it or leave it. I mean, what's gonna happen to my business? I mean, people not wanna do business with me unless,
Absolutely.
you know, maybe small percentage that getting older, and, you know, but we have to always focus on new generation, on the future.
Yeah, well, it's mostly what society wants. That's what we're seeing. So we're seeing now that society wants convenience.
Yes, convenience sells. That's what convenience is. I mean, like most people, why would they pay so much, let's say, for extra for food delivery? You know, if they are at home and they can cook, if you think about it, you know. But people pay because it's convenient. They, you know, pick up a phone or app or whatever, and then food is delivered to them.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy because they have the markups on the food and then like a $4 or $5 delivery fee and shit
And
tip.
tip, yes.
It's crazy.
Yeah, but people pay.
It's convenient. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you say to people that see you and, you know, see that you're successful and think it was easy, you know, and see like, oh, you know, Alex probably just came here, you know, just went to a couple auctions and
Got lucky.
and boom, now he's successful.
Yeah.
What do you say to those people besides try it yourself?
I mean, what I say, I can tell them read Bible, because if you're gonna read in Bible about any heroes, for example, like Joseph, you know, if you read the story from the end, you're gonna see that he was put in charge, and because of him, people didn't die from hunger. So he pretty much almost saved, you know, a universe, because it was 7 years of hunger. So, and you can say, wow, that's, you know, great. Or even if you would meet a Joseph at that time, you would be jealous and say, wow, this guy came as an immigrant, or he was sold as a slave. Look at him, now he's doing very well. But if you read story from the beginning about Joseph, so not everybody wants to, go through what Joseph went. So, for example, he was betrayed from very young age. He was sold to slavery, and then he was faithful. He was faithful to God, and then he was betrayed again, and then he was put to jail again. And then what happened in jail? He trusted his friends, and he said, remember me in front of the king. And his friend forgot about him again. So, I mean, if you read about people who achieved something, I mean, they had to pay a high price for it. So what amazes me about young people sometimes, that they want to be in the end of the story, but they do not want to be in the beginning of the story. They do not want to pay the price. And without price, most of the time, I mean, you're not going to be successful unless you get lucky. But to get lucky, I mean, history says even people that got lucky and won lottery, most of the time they still spend everything, because they do not know how to
Financial management. All
yeah
that.
how to manage, because they never worked for it. So, and I mean, if you want to be successful in anything, it's mainly you have to be focused, and you have to finish the job not 80 or 90%, but 100%. So if you know if you have a plan, you have to, stick to it, and just not be lazy, I guess.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I wanted to ask like a more motivational question, because you talked about how you started off in real estate and whatnot, and all the things that you achieved, and then losing it all. I'm sure that was really stressful. What do you contribute, like the biggest part of being successful today, other than God's will and His plan for your life? Like, what do you contribute getting out of that hole to being where you are at now? What motivated you the most?
I mean, what motivates sometimes, like in life, that if you think only about yourself, you're thinking, okay, how much do I need? Not making enough money, then you lose motivation, because you think, okay, why am I supposed to work more? I mean, I don't need a bigger house or
That's
better
why your
car.
why has to be greater than you yourself.
Yes, but if your why is greater, so if you always think, okay, how much do I need? and how much do I need to leave it to my kids, and then what will I do with the rest. So if you focusing on the rest of the money or financial goal you're going to have, and if you want to make something greater than yourself, and if you believe that everything is given to you, it's given by God, and you're like manager of the things you have. And let's say if you're manager in a good company and they gave you and say, oh, Boris, we trust in you, this company, if you can take it to next level. You understand everything that's given to you, it's not yours, but you are in charge to, break the company or make it to next level. So same thing, God is trusting us that he gives us ability, he gives us wisdom, that we would not be successful only for ourselves, but for his glory, for his kingdom. So if we focus in and we believe in that God gave us ability, then we have to use ability to our fullest and not be lazy, because lazy people is not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Last question for you
I got
before
one
we
more, but yeah.
we wrap it up. Okay, go.
Well,
You ask
I want to. We've talked about real estate investments and all these different things. I want just a quick question. I guess not. It won't be quick, but what are your? Okay, we talked a little bit about crypto prior to this. Do you think that crypto, in the next 10 years, will take over central banks? The blockchain technology and all that. Do you think it will take over the central banks?
I do not know if it's going to be crypto, but it's probably going to be something very similar.
Yeah.
So, or maybe some of the crypto, I mean, I do not know if it's going to be exactly Bitcoin or something else, but the way it's going, I mean, I did some research about Bitcoin, and they said even some countries want to close the Bitcoin, but it's impossible because it's not made by any institution. It doesn't have any regulation. It doesn't have to, pretty much is the way new technology going, that it's worldwide. It's not only like, for example, dollar is supported by US economy, so if US economy crashes, dollar can crash. But the cryptocurrency is not supported by anything. But don't really understand everything about crypto, but I know that the way it used to be done business with gold and silver, now with papers, it's gonna change. It's gonna be just numbers.
Yeah.
But either it's going to be crypto or dollars or something else, I'm not really sure.
In your opinion, do you see that the central bank has to? I guess they can't innovate in a sense, because do you see that the central bank will disappear in the next decade because of how inconvenient it is? Say like wire transfers and all these things take days, and cost you money, and everyone, when they get down to the details of banks, they take your money, give you 0.004%. And invest the rest, and then have all these crazy monthly fees. Do you think that people will start realizing that there's a better solution and start trusting you, just like they did from gold and that to the fiat currency with the dollar? Do you think that? There will have to be a change, but do you think that will happen in the next decade?
I think it will, maybe even sooner than a decade.
Yeah.
Because it's everything goes self-sufficient. So if you remember before, when I just came to America, which is not that long ago, like 20 years, a lot of gas station, if you go, you had a guy that were filling up your gas. Now you barely see that, because why do you need somebody to fill up your gas if you can do it? So the technology goes that most of the things, it's self-sufficient. So the middleman usually is eliminated. So bank is like a middleman between consumer and between a customer. So of course it's going to be eliminated, but I do not know when it's going to happen, but probably very soon.
Yeah. Interesting.
I guess time will tell. But anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in. Hope you guys took away some valuable lessons. No, it's fine. We gotta wrap it up. Yeah. I know. I learned quite a bit. Hope you guys did too. And I guess see you guys in the next one.
Yeah. Thanks for coming out, Alex.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
But yeah.
You can take away